Just a few months ago, whispers started circulating. Could Jackson Powers Johnson be the next big piece on the Raiders' offensive line? Fast forward to now, and it looks like the answer is a bold yes. At the NFL owners' meeting in late March, Raiders GM John Spytek hinted that Powers Johnson would be competing for a guard spot, while three others were in line for the center role. But something shifted. Fast forward to a recent clip from the Raiders' official social media. Running back Ashton Ginty walks into the building, and who's there to greet him? Jackson Powers Johnson. With confidence, he says, "What's up? I'm your center. Nice to meet you." That's not just small talk, that's a statement. It's clear Jackson Powers Johnson isn't just competing, he's the guy. And before we jump into the latest details, if you love Deep Raiders news, hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss an update. Let's get into it. This team is transforming fast. Chip Kelly and Pete Carroll bring in fresh energy, new schemes, and high expectations. And as assignments become clearer, Powers Johnson stepping into the center role matters. Why? Because center isn't just another lineman, it's the quarterback of the O line. Sure, some might say, guard or center, what's the big deal? But it's a huge deal. The center commands the line, sets protections, and leads communication. It's a position of trust. And Jackson seems to have earned it. If you're building a dominant offensive line in today's NFL, the center might just be the most valuable piece. Not the flashiest, not the loudest, but absolutely the heart of the line. And for the Las Vegas Raiders, that heart is starting to beat in the form of Jackson Powers Johnson. Think about it. A top tier guard can elevate a line, but an elite center, he commands it. He leads it. He transforms it. While names like Chris Lindstrom and Tyler Smith get plenty of love at guard, their influence doesn't compare to what someone like Creed Humphrey brings to the Chiefs, or what Jackson Powers Johnson is about to bring to Vegas. Here's the exciting part. Powers Johnson might be even better than any of them were as prospects. This isn't just hype. This is years of scouting talking. His technique, his awareness, his leverage, they're off the charts. And when you study his tape, it's crystal clear. He's not just another rookie. He's the kind of player that makes an entire offense better from day one. Last year, the Raiders struggled in one key area, cutback lanes in the run game. Their center, Andre James, couldn't always seal those crucial blocks. But Powers Johnson? This guy specializes in that. He doesn't just reach defenders, he dominates them. If he can't get around them, he uses advanced techniques like the slingshot to still win the rep. That means cleaner holes, more cutback opportunities, and more daylight for Raiders runners like Ashton Ginty. This is a player who finished his college career at Oregon by bulldozing defensive linemen at center. And now, with Vegas handing him the keys to the middle of the line, we're about to see what happens when elite talent meets real opportunity. Make no mistake, Jackson Powers Johnson is a game changer, and the Raiders might have just found their next anchor in the trenches. Jackson Powers Johnson didn't get much playing time in his first year at Oregon. In his second year, he played primarily at guard. It wasn't until his third season that he took over as the starting center. While he also played center in high school, he hasn't yet had a full offseason at the NFL level to develop in that role, but that's about to change. This year, he'll be the Raiders' starting center from day one, and that's huge. Looking back, I understand why Raiders assistant GM Champ Kelly and personnel staff didn't want to tip their hand before the draft. If they had made it clear they saw Powers Johnson as a center, other teams might have tried to jump ahead of them to grab him. But now that it's official, and Jackson Powers Johnson will be the Raiders center, I couldn't be more excited. I truly believe he has the potential to become one of the best centers in NFL history. That's not something I say lightly. He's only 21 years old, and his ceiling is incredibly high. Now let's talk about the offensive line overall. As I mentioned earlier, a great center is the foundation of a top-tier offensive line. The Raiders now have that, but they also have some solid pieces around him. Colton Miller is locked in at left tackle, and I'd rank him as a top 12 player at the position, maybe even top 8. At left guard, the spot's still up in the air, but recent reports suggest that Caleb Rogers will likely win that job. That would mean Charles Grant, a college left tackle, could slide to right guard and compete with DJ Glaze. If Grant can transition to the right side, learning the different footwork and hand placement, he could provide real versatility. Worst case scenario, he becomes a reliable right guard. Best case, he takes over at right tackle, with DJ Glaze potentially moving inside. This offensive line is young but full of upside. A starting five of Miller, Rogers, Powers Johnson, Grant, and Glaze could be a strong unit. And the depth is there too. Players like Jordan Meredith and Dylan Parham offer flexibility. They can both play multiple interior positions. Meredith, in particular, is one of the most valuable backup interior linemen in the league. Parham is close behind. Now that the draft is over, the Alex Kappa signing feels a bit questionable. It's not even clear if he'll make the final roster. And if he does, what happens to Parham or Meredith? There are only so many spots to go around. Let's not forget other names in the mix like Thayer Munford, Will Putnam, and Dalton Wagner. That puts the total offensive line group at 11 or more players, not even counting the undrafted free agents. Some tough roster decisions are coming. Jackson Powers Johnson didn't play much in his first year at Oregon. It wasn't until his second year that he became a starter. And even then, he played guard, not center. He only moved to center in his third season. Sure, he had some experience at center in high school, but let's be honest, he hasn't had a full offseason as a starting center at the highest level. This year, that changes. He's locked in as the Raiders' starting center, and that has me fired up. It also explains why the Raiders kept quiet about their draft plans. John Spytek didn't commit to Jackson Powers Johnson publicly. If teams knew the Raiders weren't targeting a center early, someone could have jumped ahead of them to grab the best one available, so keeping it quiet made sense. Now that it's official, I'll say it. Jackson Powers Johnson has the potential to be one of the greatest centers in NFL history. He's only 21 years old. His upside is insane. Let's talk about the offensive line as a whole. To have a top-tier unit, you need a great center, and the Raiders now have that, but that's not all. They also have other solid pieces. Colton Miller is a top 12 left tackle in the league. He might not be the flashiest, but he gets the job done. Left guard is still a battle, but early signs point to Caleb Rogers taking that spot. Charles Grant is in the mix, too, especially at right guard, where he's competing with DJ Glaze. Grant was a left tackle in college, so switching to the right side will take time. The footwork, hand placement, it's all different. But if he can learn right tackle, great. If not, he could slide inside to guard. That kind of flexibility is valuable. Picture this. Caleb Rogers at left guard, Jackson Powers Johnson at center, Charles Grant or DJ Glaze at right guard, and one of them locking down right tackle. That's a young, talented offensive line with huge potential. Don't forget about the backups. Alex Kappa, Dylan Parham, Jordan Meredith. Meredith can play all three interior spots. Parham, too. That gives the Raiders depth and options. Now here's something wild. Jackson Powers Johnson is younger than some rookies entering the league this year, and he's already being trusted to lead an NFL offensive line. Dante Thornton Jr. mostly ran the same few routes in college, about 3 to be exact. He ran 28 post routes, along with a lot of over routes, which are similar to slants or skinny posts, crossing the middle of the field. These are solid plays for a receiver with speed, but it shows that his route tree was limited. Even Thornton admitted this during his pro day. He said nearly every NFL team asked him the same thing. Can you run a full pro-style route tree? That question could explain why he slipped to the 4th round. Here's what he mainly ran. Go routes. Long, straight sprints to stretch the defense. Hitch or curl routes. Short stops where he turns quickly to face the quarterback. Post and slant routes, crossing the field, usually over the middle. Over routes. Another version of the post, just with a slightly different angle. That's it. No deep comebacks, corner routes, or advanced combo routes. And some scouts did hold that against him. But here's the upside. The Raiders may have gotten a 2nd-round talent in the 4th round. They passed on him in the 3rd round, picking 3 other guys, Darian Porter, Caleb Rogers, and Charles Grant. But Thornton could have easily been ranked just as high as any of them on their board, and the Raiders clearly see something in him. Thornton has raw potential. If he can expand his route tree, he could become a big piece of this offense. Now, this also creates a logjam at wide receiver. I mentioned this before. Trey Tucker could be on the trade block. Not saying it will happen, but it's worth watching. The Raiders already cut Tyreek Mallister and Christian Wilkerson, both of whom flashed at times. And they've brought in more young talent like Zachary Franklin and Kyle Phillips. The current wide receiver room is loaded with upside. Jacoby Myers, Jack Beck, Dante Thornton Jr., and Trey Tucker. Myers is established. The others, still question marks. As for Tucker, this is his third NFL season. If he doesn't hit around 700 plus receiving yards, this could be his final year with the Raiders. That's how tight the competition is. And one final point before we wrap: travel distance. The Raiders have a real advantage this year. They'll only travel about 18,000 miles. That's right around league average. But check this: the Chargers, just 2 hours away in LA, will travel 37,000 miles. That's more than double. It's wild, and yes, less travel matters. More rest, less wear and tear. It could give the Raiders a slight edge during the grind of the season. Take the Cincinnati Bengals, for example. They're only traveling 8,700 miles this season. That's one of the easiest travel schedules in the entire NFL. Imagine this: the Bengals could literally leave at 6 p.m. the night before a game, arrive at the team hotel by 7:30, get a full night's rest, play the game, and be back home that same evening. Easy, low stress, maximum rest. Compare that to a team like the Chargers. If they have a Sunday game on the East Coast, they might need to fly out by Friday, maybe even Thursday, just to adjust for the time difference and travel fatigue. That's hours on a plane, days away from home, more wear and tear on the body. And if they have back-to-back East Coast games, they might just stay out there for the entire week. That adds a whole other layer of complexity to game planning and recovery. And here's the thing: most of the teams with easy travel schedules, they're East Coast teams. Look at the list: Cincinnati, Buffalo, Baltimore, Detroit, Chicago, New England. It's the same story every year. Meanwhile, the teams with the toughest travel miles are almost always on the West Coast. The Chargers, Rams, Seahawks, Broncos. That's just the nature of NFL scheduling. It is what it is, but it does make a difference. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you guys because it's interesting and it does impact the season more than people realize. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll keep bringing you Raiders content as often as I can. Ideally, every day. Some days might be slow on news, but I'll still be here. Still working on setting up my space, so thank you for your patience. Got a few things on the way to make it better. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time with another update.